talk about why modern women are lonelier than ever? Because nobody wants to admit the real reason. I see it everywhere. Successful women with amazing careers, perfect Instagram feeds, but they're absolutely miserable and isolated. And I know because I used to be one of them. We were told that independence was everything, that we didn't need anyone, that needing people was weakness, so we built these perfect little walls around ourselves. We chose careers over relationships, being right over being loved, and proving ourselves over connecting with others. We pushed away anyone who tried to get close to us because we had to be strong. And now we're sitting in our perfectly decorated apartments, scrolling through dating apps, wondering why we feel so empty inside. We have everything modern feminism promised us, but we've never been more alone. Because the truth is, humans are wired for connection. Especially women, we need community, partnership, and deep relationships. But we've been convinced that wanting these things makes us weak or pick-me's. The loneliness epidemic isn't an accident. It's what happens when you tell women to reject everything that actually fulfills them. You can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have real connection, you have nothing.
Female loneliness in the West isn't some mysterious social crisis that appeared out of nowhere. It's the predictable outcome of a cultural experiment that sold independence without interdependence, empowerment without partnership, and self-sufficiency without community, then acted shocked when the emotional infrastructure collapsed.
Here's something that I don't see anyone talking about, and it's the female loneliness epidemic. I just turned 23 and I am officially done with looking for new friends because nowadays, girls are fucking impossible to make friends with. And before you call me a pick me, hear me out. In my experience, young women today do not know what it means to be a friend. They expect everyone, including other women, to chase them the same way men chase them romantically. It's always me texting first, it's always me making plans, it's always me arranging reservations to make hangouts happen, only to be told the day of that like, oh, something came up, / they straight up admit that they forgot. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, girl. And their I'm so sorries are never followed up by, let me make it up to you, how about we do this or this instead. It's always just, I'm so sorry, blank. All these girls want to do is just be Instagram mutuals. They want to like your posts, they want you to like theirs, they want to swipe up on your story. They want like little crumbs of your attention, but they are not actually looking for like a real life friend with like substance and value. And I don't know if any of you have ever used Bumble BFF, but like don't. It is a bigger waste of time than like actual dating apps for like meeting men. And I've had a handful bad experiences on there, but I'll just tell you about like the two most recent ones. So it's this girl, we match, we talk a little bit on Instagram. I see we have a couple like hobbies in common. It's going well. We arrange to meet for a drink. And so we go, we have a drink together. It was like, I think like after work for me. So I was like really tired. It was only like 2 hours and then we went home. We both agreed that it like went really well, and I was convinced that we were gonna see each other again. I had to chase this girl for months to meet up again, and it wasn't me not getting the hint, mind you, because she was still texting me every day. She's like, I want to see you so bad, I want to see you so bad, but something keeps coming up. Oh my god, I'm in college, it's so busy, blah blah blah. And like at the time I was working part-time, so like I objectively had like more free time than her, so whatever, okay, sure. I kept like sending her like invites to like different events, like ads I see on Instagram, like blank event on this date at this time, and it was always like, oh, I can't, oh this, oh that, I'm sorry, I've got this going on, blah blah blah, never offering like anything on her end. I remember the month of March rolled around and she goes, okay, girl, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I cannot meet you all month in March because it's exam season. First of all, I'm so fucking sick of hearing this shit that it's like exams. It's exams all the time. Like right now, I'm like doing a gap year, so I'm working, and like all my friends are like my age, college age, and they always have fucking exams all the time. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't know, maybe I just like, I'm a business major and like we're stereotyped for like having easy majors, but that's not how exams work. The way exams work is you start like a semester and you have class, and then there's like midterms for like 3 days. You do the midterms, and then you go back to class. There's no month full of exams. But whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. I do not bother her all March. April rolls around. On April 1st, I literally sent her an event, like a clubbing thing, restaurant, activity. I don't remember, some bullshit I saw on TikTok. And the date was like April 5th. She's like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. Okay. I wait a couple more days, say it's like April 4th, and I sent her like an event on April 30th. So like at the end of the month. She's like, oh my god, I have plans that day. I'm so sorry. I was like, you know what? Okay, girl. Okay. And I just stopped trying. I waited for her to send me something, offer me anything, make any sort of plans, and she just never did. And I just stopped like replying to her, like sending me random reels and like random bullshit. So this was girl number 1. Now girl number 2, it was a similar situation. They were both happening at the same time. It's this girl, same thing. We match, super good chemistry through text. Like we're just like laughing, sending each other voice memos. We have so much in common. We agree on so many topics. We're just vibing. I'm like, oh my god, I really see like a really good friendship with this person. I end up finally meeting her for the first time, at the club, because like I was convoluted story, but I ended up like at the club with this guy I was seeing at the time, and she was there, and we just like danced for 5 minutes, and then she was like, oh girl, I gotta go, I'll be right back. Didn't come back, and I ended up like leaving with the guy like an hour later. Anyway, we get back to texting. I'm like, when can we hang out like properly, like like face to face during the daytime so we can like talk. She's like, girl, definitely not this month because it's Ramadan. I'm thinking to myself, like, as far as I'm aware, during Ramadan, you are allowed to go outside, Like, Muslims, during Ramadan, they go to work, they go to school, they do stuff. We don't have to go to a restaurant or anything. Like, we can just, like, take a walk in the park. Like, it's not that serious. But I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna argue with you about religion. Over the course of the month, I see her hanging out with other people though, like on her story. And at first I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm not a priority, like we don't know each other that well, sure. But eventually I confront her. I'm a little bit like, oh, I thought you were not doing anything. You were not allowed to do anything this month. She's like, first of all, mind your business. Half of the posts I put up are like throwbacks, so they're not current, and the other half is me and my sister, so like if you don't know any better, like close your mouth. I'm like, okay, no problem. Ramadan ends, April rolls around, and guess what? Never hear from her ever again. I just moved into this new place that you can see right now. It's like really, really messy. And I decided to have a housewarming party where I just invited like my roommates, obviously, and a group of like my closest friends or just like people that are in my life like currently. 2 girls that I invited did not show up. I let both of them know about the party like 2 weeks ahead. The day of, I send both of them a text like, hey, so we're gonna start at this time. This is the address. Hope to see you soon. The party was supposed to start at 6, and they both text me back at around like 3 or 4 p.m. And one of them goes, oh my god, girl, I'm so sorry. I can't make it today. I'm like super sick. I'm just like throwing up like in bed. I'm like so sick. And it's like, if you were that sick, then it probably didn't happen today. You couldn't have texted me last night. You had to text me the day of, like 2 hours prior. Like you waited also for my text before you canceled. You couldn't have like let me know like, hey girl, I know that you're gonna be cooking food for like X amount of people for today. Like, don't worry, like count me out. You don't have to like make a portion for me. You couldn't do that. And then the other girl was like, oh my god, girl, I'm so sorry. I forgot I have to hand in a school project for tomorrow. Again, this is not how college works. Like, maybe she's like a different major, okay. But this is not high school where like you get a homework assignment on Monday and you have to hand it in for Friday. No. Your professor tells you about like a 1 or 2 big projects that you have to hand in by the end of the semester, and you progressively work on it like little by little over the course of months. I'm just saying there's no way, number one, that girl was actually sick and the other girl had a school project to hand in. They just didn't want to come, and they didn't even have the decency to let me know ahead of time, come up with something smarter. Like, they were not even gonna say anything. If I hadn't texted them the day of, they would have pretended like nothing happened. And this is why I am done just trying. Like, I'm done. Like, if like a female friend like falls from the sky for me, then yeah, of course, you know, like if we meet, I start a new job and like a girl that works there like I really like, and like of course. But no more looking, no more taking my hand out and saying, hey, do you want to take this friendship to the next level, come to my house, come hang out with me. No more making the first move on people, because it just takes up too much mental space and yields basically no results. It's just a waste of time. So yeah, let me know what your experience has been like. Let me know how you feel, but this is how I feel right now, so.
Modern feminism promised women freedom, power, choice, and control, but what it quietly removed in the process was the social glue that actually creates long-term stability. Cooperation, shared responsibility, relational accountability, and the willingness to build instead of compete, which is why so many women now find themselves surrounded by people but starving for connection.
As women, can't we just be honest about the fact that a lot of girls aren't lonely because they can't find a decent man who's respectable, or men aren't men anymore? They're lonely because the expectations of what they want out of a relationship do not equate with who they are in relationships. You say you want a man who's emotionally mature, but whenever you're losing an argument, you start crying. That's emotional manipulation. Some of y'all want a man who's consistent, but you don't even post content consistently, let alone go to the gym consistently. And don't get me started on the meal plan you said you were going to start 3 weeks ago for your winter arc. You want a man with great communication skills, but you crashed out on the last one because you thought he was gaslighting you or manipulating you or he was a narcissist. Stop letting people get you out of character. That means you don't have good communication skills. All I'm saying is you can't expect a high-value partner when you are not a high-value partner. This fantasy idea that all the men are the bad ones and all the girls are just 10 out of 10s waiting for someone perfect. You're not perfect. 10 out of 10 is perfect. You're not perfect. And neither is the man that is also on your level. But you won't even give him a chance because in your mind, you're a 10 and he's a 5. But in reality, you're both 6s. Sit with that. The uncomfortable truth here, ladies, is that the dating market and the men are not the only problem. For a lot of the girls, self-awareness is the problem. Because you can't want better when you're not better.
What was marketed as liberation slowly transformed into isolation, because replacing family structures with careers, relationships with transactions, and partnership with performance doesn't create intimacy. It creates independence without belonging, autonomy without attachment, and identity without support systems.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later. You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control. When these 20-somethings hit 40-something, there's going to be massive devastation. There's going to be, the pharmaceutical companies are going to be like, yeah, cashing in on the antidepressants and all of that if they go that route.
The culture taught women to prioritize self above everything, autonomy above compromise, ego above cooperation, and individual fulfillment above relational responsibility. And now the result is a generation of women who are hyperconnected digitally, constantly validated online, endlessly affirmed by algorithms, yet emotionally disconnected in real life.
So I've been seeing some videos on my For You page, and I think that it is finally time to discuss the female loneliness epidemic. Because I know the men have had their own thing, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not a man, right? But I will say that the men are more built for it than us. We are not built for this shit, ladies. We don't know how to be alone. These men have been bottling up their emotions and not sharing them with anybody since they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Some of us have never done that. We've always had someone to talk to, a friend, a family member, a significant other, something. And it seems like in 2025, the girls are running out of options because the dating market is terrible. Y'all are literally making fun of girls that are in happy, healthy relationships, saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Miserables. And then y'all also don't have any friends, because anytime somebody reposts something that you disagree with, oh, that's how you feel about immigration policy, you're not my friend anymore. Now y'all don't have any freaking friends. Like, it's not gonna end well if your requirement for somebody to have a relationship with you is that they have to be on the exact same page with you 100% of the time. No one is. We are all people with our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and ideas. And if you don't respect that in another person, then of course you're going to be by yourself. There's no one else that's going to fit that mold. Y'all have to learn healthy communication skills. You have to learn healthy relationship skills. Go to therapy if you need to, do something. But if you are sitting at home right now and you don't have 5 friends that you can call, no man, and your family members just don't get you, I promise the only common denominator in all of those scenarios is
Loneliness didn't come from men abandoning women. It came from a system that trained women to view men as optional utilities instead of necessary partners, relationships as liabilities instead of foundations, and dependence as weakness instead of interdependence as balance.
You know how everyone on your FYP over the last few months has been telling you that there's a specific men's loneliness crisis happening right now? Well, the loneliness crisis is an ungendered issue, and making it a gendered issue is actually fake news. And while nobody believed me, I went out and I surveyed over 2,000 women on whether or not they're lonely. And you know what they said? That 75% of them across age groups experience loneliness regularly. That gets even higher for Gen Z women and girls at about 82%. 82% of Gen Z women and girls experience loneliness regularly. We're all lonely. We all need more social connection. We all need more community in our lives, and you are not alone in this experience. There are a lot of other really interesting details that came out of the study that I just did on behalf of my company, Communia, the healthy and safe social networking app for women. And that information is already on our website if you go to our articles section at ourcommunia.com. But I will be making more videos on this, going deeper into it. And we've got some official videos coming out on the company account very, very soon.
So I want to talk about this female loneliness epidemic we got going on, right? It's bad. See, they've been trying to say it was the man trying to use reverse psychology, but it was never the men. It was always the women. Now, you can try to prove me wrong if you want to, but before you do it, I'm going to tell you, you're going to fail epically. You're going to fail big time. The reason I say it's a female loneliness epidemic and not a male loneliness epidemic is because look at what you see on social media, right? You see all these women coming to the internet talking about how men don't approach them. You don't see men doing that. That is women. Then you got all these women complaining about the passport bros, talking about they got to go overseas to find women. That's because they lonely and bitter. You don't see men complaining about women going overseas finding men because men are not the lonely ones. And this is the nail in the coffin, right? To prove that we have a female loneliness epidemic, this is the nail in the coffin. How many women do you see sharing men? Knowingly sharing men. How many women do you see sharing men? How many women do you see sharing the same baby daddy? One man can have like 5 women pregnant, all in the same area. What you mean to tell me we have a male loneliness epidemic? No, we have a female loneliness epidemic. And that proves it. Look at how many women putting up with bums. Here it is, you have a man laying in your house with no job, no car, no source of income. But yet, he is laying in your house, getting your goodies, shooting the club up, then leaving your house, going to another woman's house doing the same thing. And then turn around and have these two women fighting over this man with no income. Yeah, bro. We got a serious female loneliness epidemic. It was never the men, it was the women all along.
The cruel irony is that the same ideology that told women they would be fulfilled by independence alone is now watching them struggle with emptiness, dating fatigue, emotional burnout, and a constant sense of dissatisfaction that no amount of self-care content, therapy language, or social media affirmation can actually fix.
I think you've got this the wrong way around, specifically in relation to women. Firstly, I don't think we ever talk about a female loneliness epidemic because women don't sort of speak like that. But if we're talking about, for example, women being single, it's not that that leads to them then becoming extreme feminists. I also don't think they are extreme feminists, they're just feminists. But rather, it's that women are feminists. They grow up believing in certain rights and opportunities for themselves. They have those beliefs from a young age, and therefore they seek better partners. And when those partners aren't available, they choose to be single rather than being in relationships that are unfulfilling. So I think this is sort of actually the other way around. It's that women are feminist from a young age and therefore are choosing to remain single as a consequence of having certain standards.
Because humans are not wired for ideological living, they're wired for connection, cooperation, shared meaning, and long-term bonds, and no cultural slogan can override basic psychological and social reality.
I'm so tired of hearing about the male loneliness epidemic, so let's talk about the female loneliness epidemic, because we're experiencing one too. The one where men treat you like you're some fantasy object, and the moment they realize you're an actual human being with thoughts, feelings, and emotions, they're gone. Or when they want you for your body, but never have any intention of actually getting to know it or respecting it. Or when they want you for your emotional intelligence, even though they have no intention of ever reciprocating it. Or when they want you for what you can do for them, but they don't want you for who you are. That's loneliness. Crying yourself to sleep every night next to a partner who claims to love you even though his actions never follow his words, that's loneliness. Being too afraid to open yourself up to love and opening yourself up to men because we live in a world where SA, domestic violence, and femicide is so normalized, that's loneliness. The difference is that the male loneliness epidemic is self-inflicted and the female loneliness epidemic is self-preservation.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness, in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later. You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence. Meanwhile, your grandmothers had way fewer choices, but way stronger direction. They built families, they built the roots, they built something bigger than themselves. And this generation swapped it all for convenience. Legacy for pleasure, meaning for freedom without structure. And here's the part that nobody likes to talk about. The men that they overlooked in their 20s, they didn't just vanish. They were building, failing, learning, becoming disciplined, and becoming men. Men don't peak early. They compound with time. Value grows with time and skill and responsibility. Women don't gain leverage by delaying everything. That is not cruelty. That is reality. Every decision comes with a cost. Modern narratives today did not remove the bill. They just postponed it. And the outcome is usually the same. Distractions instead of connection. Comfort instead of intimacy, and independence without fulfillment. This is not about going backward. It's about correcting the course. We don't need less ambition. We need stronger values, commitment, family, masculine leadership, feminine devotion, and a shared purpose, because freedom without foundation doesn't liberate. It isolates you completely. And tradition wasn't the problem. Abandoning it was.
Modern feminism didn't give women freedom from men. It gave them distance from connection, and the result isn't empowerment, it's fragmentation, loneliness, and a growing emotional vacuum disguised as progress.
This is gonna ruffle some feathers, but women aren't being oppressed by the patriarchy. We're oppressing ourselves, and I can prove it. I can. And I will. We're out here screaming, fuck the patriarchy, and blaming men for oppressing us. But I think we need to have a honest conversation about who's really doing the oppressing here. Because here's what I've realized. Women aren't being oppressed by the patriarchy. We're literally oppressing ourselves and then blaming men for it. We're rejecting traditional feminine roles that actually give us power, calling being a wife and mother oppressive when it's one of the most influential positions we can have. We're choosing career stress over family fulfillment and then wondering why we're so freaking miserable. We're sabotaging our own relationships by constantly testing men instead of supporting them, creating drama and chaos, and then blaming men for the dysfunction we created. We're competing with men instead of complimenting them, trying to out-masculine them instead of embracing our feminine power, and then wondering why they're not being masculine with us. We're making terrible dating choices, having unrealistic standards while bringing nothing valuable ourselves, choosing toxic men, and then blaming all men for our bad decisions. Make it make sense, really. We're letting ourselves go physically and then demanding men find us attractive anyway. And we're promoting body positivity instead of actual health and discipline. So we're literally choosing behaviors that make us less attractive, less valuable, and less happy. And then we blame the patriarchy for the consequences of our own choices. The patriarchy isn't holding us back. Our own mindset is. We're oppressing ourselves with our own resistance to growth, our own preference for validation over accountability. The patriarchy isn't oppressing us. We're oppressing ourselves and then pointing fingers at men. If we want to stop being oppressed, we need to stop oppressing ourselves and start taking accountability and responsibility for our own choices.
Female loneliness isn't a failure of women. It's the success of an ideology that replaced relationships with narratives, community with branding, and partnership with performative independence, and then called the isolation a gift.
Men stopped playing by the rules, and now everyone's freaking out. Let's break down why silence has become the loudest move.